Okay.
All right.
You are.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is the 84 Asana class at Pure Yoga in Texas. And my name is John Schoggins, and I'm coming to you live from Dallas, Texas. And we are also have a group of our yogis in Austin, Texas. And if you are on Zoom, you can see them in their studio practicing with us. And so some of you are coming to us from Zoom. Some of you are joining us live on YouTube, excuse me. And we're gonna have a great practice today. And so just a little bit of background for those of you who may not be familiar with the 84 Asana class. So this is what we call the advanced class. And so if you practice our 26 and 2 regular beginners class, this class builds on top of that class. And so all those postures will be in this class. And then we'll do a lot more with respect to arm balancing, hip opening, and even get into some inversions and some deeper leg behind the head postures. And so the class moves very quickly. There's not a lot of instruction and verbal dialogue. I'll try to give you as much instruction as possible. But we really go from one posture to the next. There's about 84 postures to get through, and so it does happen at a pretty quick pace. Everyone needs to just sort of take it easy. If you're not familiar with the series, do what you can and have fun. And so we're going to start at the top of our mat in with a pranayama breathing. And so it's going to be about a 3-second pace, and it's going to look and sound like this. I'm going to inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So everyone together, heels and toes together. Interlace the fingers underneath your chin, and we begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, elbows up. Exhale, elbows forward to touch. Inhale, chin down, look forward. Exhale, head up, look back. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. We'll do 2 more. Bring the elbows up. Exhale. Last one. Inhale and exhale. Elbows touch. Arms down side. We next start with a lunging salutation. We'll come to the back of the mat. We're going to do 2 sets. The first one will be a little slower, so I can give you some more of the instructions. And the second set will be a faster half set that's only going to be half the time. So we start with the right foot stepping all the way forward across the mat, arms overhead, palms together. Reach your back heel forward, bend the front leg parallel to the floor. Now look up to the ceiling, bring the arms with the ears, and you're going to reach the arms back into a back bend. Hold it here, keep going back, and then we change. Look forward, turn, pivot, face the back of your mat. And it's the same thing on this side. We bend the front leg, lunge, push the right heel forward, bring the arms with the ears, reach back, go back, look back, and change. Now from here, turn and face the front of the mat again, rather than stepping off the mat. And we'll do the exact same thing. Bend the knee, lunge, arms with the ears, reach back, and change. Look forward, turn, pivot, face the back of the mat. Lunge the front leg forward, push your right heel forward so the back of the bottom of the foot is perpendicular to the floor. Reach up, arms back, go, and change. Now from here, drop the right knee to the floor, 3 inches behind the left heel. Tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee, fingertips in front of the big and second toe. Inhale, come up. Stretch up to the ceiling, reach the arm back with the ears, and then again, we try to go into a little back bend, but you want to keep your left heel down on the floor and the right hip pushing forward. Change, stand up, face the front. The same thing. Left knee comes down to the floor, untuck the toes, tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee, fingertips in front of the toes. Inhale, come up, stretch up to the ceiling, reach back, go back into your back bend. Change. Now we're going to reverse it. Stand up, face the back of the mat, right knee to the floor, 3 inches behind the left heel, tuck the chin, round down, forward to the knee. Inhale, come up. Stretch up to the ceiling, look back, reach back, push that right hip forward, keep that left heel flat on the floor, and change. Last one, turn, face the front of the room, drop the left knee to the floor, 3 inches behind the right heel, tuck the chin, round down, forward to the knee, stomach in. Inhale, come up. Stretch up, reach back. And change. Now stand all the way up to the front of the mat. Arms down side. Take a breath. Okay. Next set. We're going to do the same thing, a little bit faster. This time we're only going to do 2 on each side. Ready? Back of the mat. Right foot steps forward, arms overhead, lunge. Push your left heel forward, reach back into the back bend. Change, turn, pivot, face the other side. Deep lunge on the left side. Push your right heel forward, arms with the ears, go back into the back bend. Change, look forward. Now drop the knee to the floor, 3 inches behind the right heel. Tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee, fingertips in front of the big toe. Inhale, come up. Stretch up to the ceiling, reach back, go back, way back. Change, stand up, face the other side. Drop the left knee to the floor, behind the right heel. Tuck the chin, round down, forward to the knee. Inhale, come up. Stretch up to the ceiling. Push the left hip forward. Reach back at your last one. Go back and change. Come to standing and arms down side. Good. Get to warm up. Okay. Next, we're going to do a salute to the sun. 2 sets. I'll talk you through the first one. Second one will be a little bit faster. Let's bring hands into prayer. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Inhale, arms overhead, reach back. And then exhale, dive forward, hands to feet posture, forward to the knees. Inhale, squat all the way to the floor. Exhale, right leg comes all the way back to the room. Inhale, look head forward. Exhale, left leg back, high plank. Inhale, bend the elbows, come down. Exhale, push up. Inhale, bring the left leg forward. Exhale, bring the head to the knee. Inhale, bring the right leg forward, sit in the squat. Exhale, hips all the way up, hands to feet. Inhale, come all the way up, arms overhead, back bend. Exhale, arms down side. Second set, just a little bit faster. Ready? Inhale, exhale. Back bend, hands to feet, Padasana. Inhale, squat. Exhale, right leg all the way back. Inhale, head up. Exhale, left leg back. Inhale, push to down. Exhale, push up. Inhale, left leg forward. Exhale, head to knee. Inhale, right leg forward, sit in the squat. Exhale, hips all the way up for hands to feet. Inhale, arms overhead, reach back, go back. Exhale, hands down side. Okay, next is going to be our salute to the moon. So we'll start with a half moon, and then I'm going to turn after the half moon series to do triangle, and so you can follow me however you need to position yourself on the mat. Arms overhead sideways, palms together, reach up, and half moon right side. Push your hips out to the left, bring the body down to the right. Change, come up to the center, stretch up, and the other side. Push the hips to the right, reach, and change. Drop the head back, arms with the ears, reach back for your half moon back bend. Look for the floor behind you, go back. Change, Padasana, hands to feet pose. Bring the backs of the hands flat against the ankles, or if you like, you can step on your fingers. Padasana, stretch the body down. Release, come up. From here, I'm going to step across my mat, and then right foot steps out to the right, bend the knee, move the arms for triangle. Change, come up, switch the feet out. Left leg forward, bend the arms, move the arms for triangle. Change, from here, arms overhead, pivot, face the front of your mat. Tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee, standing separate leg, head to knee. Inhale, come up. We'll pivot, face the back of the mat. Tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee. And release, come up, turn, pivot, arms down side. So we'll do a second set. starting with half moon. Arms overhead. 1 to the right. 2 center. 3 left. 4 center. 5 back bend. 6 center. 7 Padasana. 8 center. Change. Triangle. 8 triangle. 7 center. Other side. 6 triangle. 5 center. Pivot. 4 separate leg head to knee. 3 up for center. Pivot. 2 separate leg head to knee. 1 up for center. Change. Good. And so from here, we move on to awkward. Right foot steps out to the right, about 6 inches, arms up straight, parallel. Ready? Let's sit in the chair. These don't last very long, so we make it really strong. Sit back, go back, change, come up, high up on the tippy toes, bend the knees, spine straight, all the way down, sitting in the chair. Release, come up, knees together, and we come back down. Really squeeze those thighs together, hovering just over the hips, not sitting on them, and then come up. Arms down side. Excellent. We finish off the beginning warm-up with eagle. Arms overhead. Now, we're going to try to get leg and arm at the same time. Right arm under, right leg over. If you're interlacing, maybe you have your hands in prayer. We're pulling the arms, elbows down, sitting down low into the chair, upper body back at the end. Release, arms overhead. Other side. Left arm under, left leg over. Interlace fingers or release into prayer. Sit down low, upper body back, and change. Arms overhead sideways. Great. So that's our warm-up. Take a little bit of a break, take a breath. If you need to grab some water, now's a good time to do it. It's pretty warm in our studio here, so I'm getting on my sweat, okay? Good. So everyone in Austin is looking super cool on the Zoom, and I think we're ready to move on. Yes. So what we're going to do now is our standing series, and as you know, we start with standing head to knee. And so in the advanced class, we do a couple of different things that allow us to challenge ourselves, which the first is once you get the head on the knee, I'll give you an option to release your hands. And if that's accessible to you while keeping the head on the knee, you can bring your hands behind your back with the interlaced fingers, pointed fingertip. Okay, so start with the right leg, bend the right leg up, round down, pick up the foot. Ready? And we begin by kicking, heel forward, leg straight, arm straight. Bend the elbows below the calf, and then finally tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee, hold it here. If you're feeling good, release the hands. Feeling great, hands behind the back. Change, hands forward, grab the foot, head up, release arms, bend knee, and change. Okay, it's a tough one, always. Other side. Bring the left leg up. Round down, pick up the foot. Ready? And we kick. 3, 2, 1. Elbows. 3, 2, 1. Head. 15, 14, 13. When you get to 10, hold it. And then you can release the hands. Maybe they come behind the back. To change, bring the hands forward. Grab the foot. Stomach in. Release. Head up. Elbows straight. Knee down. Change. Excellent. Next is standing bow. So we're going to use both hands same time. Right arm back, left arm up. Grab your ankle from the inside. Inhale, stretch up, and kick. Again, these don't last super long, so we have to get into it. Bring the body down. And kick, kick, kick. Change. Beautiful. Other side. Right arm up. Ready, stretch up and kick. Kick and stretch. Bring the body down. If you have a mirror, your hands are pointing at your eyebrows. And change. Good. Let's come to the back of the mat. Next, we'll do balancing stick, followed by split arm. Arms overhead sideways, palms together. Right foot steps forward. Come down to your balancing stick. We're thinking about the left hip coming down, kicking back, pointing the toes, stretching the hands forward, and change. Step back. Left leg steps forward, and come down. Reach forward, stretch the right leg back, and release. Arms down side. Okay, next is split arm. Arms overhead sideways. So this is going to look like a balancing stick, and then we're going to split the hands and kick the back leg up. Ready? Right foot steps forward. Come through your balancing stick. Split the hands, palms down, and then kick the back leg up behind you. And you're trying to make a back bend, chin forward, chest forward, looking ahead, forward. Release, change, come up, arms overhead, step back. Other side, left foot steps forward. Into your balancing stick, and then we split the arms, palms flat, stretch up, kick that right leg up behind you, abdomen on thigh, chin forward, chest forward, looking straight ahead. And change. Arms overhead, step back, arms down side. Good. Okay, standing separate leg stretching. You can go across your mat, you can go widthways, however you need to do it. So I'm going to stand over here, arms overhead, right foot steps out to the right, arms down flat, parallel. Bend at the waist. This is our regular beginning class posture, but this time we're going to grab the backs of the heels, pull, and eventually the top of the head comes down to the floor, and you're looking behind you. So we pull, shoulders away from the ears, stretching the spine down, and change, come up. Stay here. Now, two options. Your arms can go grab elbows each other, or they can go into reverse namaskar. Whichever you choose that position, and then we hinge at the waist again, come all the way back down. This is a little bit deeper version of the posture. You may not go as far down this time, that's okay. And you can think about using the prayer against the back of your spine to push the torso through a little further. Contract the quadricep thighs, hold it here, and breathe. Release, come up halfway, drop the hands to the floor, thumbs forward, fingers back. We're gonna straddle out across your mat. So, depending on your inner thigh flexibility, you don't wanna sort of go too far than you're capable of, but be mindful, figure out where you can go and hold it, and be comfortable. Maybe you bring the elbows to the floor. And to reverse out of this, some of you may need to sort of push yourself back up, or if you're low enough to the floor, you can actually just sort of sit down. Good. And then we'll swing the legs around, face the front of the mat, come into a deep squat. This is preparation for guillotine. So at the beginning, maybe you're sort of have the heels up, maybe the heels are flat, but the feet are pointed out. All of those are fine. What we're trying to go for eventually is feet parallel, but that takes some time. So we come into a deep squat, hands in prayer. And we're just opening up those deep groin muscles to get ready for the deep forward bend of guillotine. So for guillotine, I'm going to turn a little bit. So we're going to have palms flat, hips up. Now, some of you may just want to try one shoulder behind the calf first and see if you can bind. This is sort of a half guillotine. And then eventually, over time, we take our C-grip hands behind the calf muscles, push the shoulders through, and release the hands to the lower back. Maybe they bind, slowly trying to straighten the legs and look up at the ceiling. Squeeze the knees into the shoulders, helps get more spine rounding. Looking up to the ceiling, breathing. And to come out, release the hands to the floor. Hold this halfway position here to take a breath before bringing the hands to the hips and coming all the way up to standing. Good. So we come back to the front of the mat for tree. Right leg comes up, just like our beginner's class, into the midline, maybe one or both hands into prayer. And we hold it here and breathe. Easy breezy tree. And then we change. Other side, left leg. Again, you really want to think about your heel coming to the midline and then the knee coming down. Eventually, these two knees are going to be in line with each other, one or both hands into prayer. And release. Okay. Next is toe stand. So we know our toe stand. In advanced class, we give the option of kicking your leg out at the bottom. If toe stand is already a challenge, then don't worry about that part. You can just sort of do what you can, okay? So we'll bring the right leg up, hands into prayer. You may be trying to come down with no hands. I'm going to use my hands today, but an advanced version is to come down with no hands. So fingertips to the floor, bend the knee, come all the way down. And then right knee squeezes into left. Maybe the hands come up into prayer. If that's feeling comfortable, the right leg maybe kicks out, point the toes, squeeze the thighs together. And then we bring the leg back and then maybe try to stand up with no hands. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's always fun trying. Okay, other side. Left leg up. Again, it's your toe stand today. So you can come down with no hands. You can put your fingertips on the floor, whatever you need to do. Coming all the way down into toe stand. Left hand, right hand. And again, if you're feeling good here, maybe this leg will kick out. And then we bring the leg back. And then maybe we try to stand up with no hands. Release the leg, left foot down. Okay. So next is Vamanasana. It looks a lot like the preparation for toe stand, but we're going to be balancing on our knee, one knee. So the right leg will come up into half lotus, just like our tree. And from here, so some of you may just want to stay here. This more advanced posture requires some knee opening. So the right knee comes down to the floor where your foot would normally be. At the beginning, this left heel will be behind your right knee. Over time, with opening of the hip, that heel will come in front. So from behind to the front. And then we pick a gaze on the floor, a few feet in front of you, left hand into prayer while you're holding down on the floor with your right. Shift the weight into the left toes, and then slowly bring this right hand up. And we try to balance on the right knee and the left ball of the foot. To release, bring the hands to the floor. Release that heel, push the floor away, and you come back up into tree. Right leg down, and then we do the other side. Left leg up, hands maybe into prayer, bend at the waist, fingertips to the floor, bring that left knee straight down to the floor. Bring the right heel in front of the left knee. This time, right hand up into prayer. You're balancing with your left fingertips, shifting that weight, and then slowly coming up so that the left hand meets the right hand in prayer, keeping the gaze so you don't lose the balance. Eventually, these hips start to get in line. Take some time. And to release this, again, we bring the hands to the floor, and we come all the way up. Hands in prayer, and release the left leg. Good. Okay, let's come down to the floor. We're going to do 3 arm balancing postures. So these can be kind of challenging. I'm on sort of polished concrete. So for fingertips, that may be a little challenging. If you're on a nice yoga floor, this may be better for your fingertips. So just be mindful. So we start with finger stand. Both legs come off the mat. And I do this so that you can slide on the floor in front of you. Contract the thighs together, fingertips up at the top of the hips. Thumbs in, fingers out. Now, maybe today you're just going to push into the floor and lift your hips up. And if that's all that's happening, great. Otherwise, we try to do the full posture. Exhale everything out. Hips up, feet flat, and then we come into our finger stand. So you're levitating, contracting thighs, rounding spine, on the fingertips, pointing toes. Good. Nice, Jeff. I can see you. So we'll just do one of those and we'll move on, okay? We normally do 2 of all of these, but in the interest of time, we'll sort of keep this going. Next is crow. So palms flat in front of your feet, spread the fingertips. Now, today, we're trying to get the knees into the armpits, but keeping the arms straight. So what we try to work on is shifting the weight forward, and maybe only one foot comes up today. We try to work the other foot, and if that's feeling good, sucking the stomach in, tight core, shifting the weight so that both feet can come off the floor. And we hold it here and breathe. Okay. Some nice crows in Austin. I can see them. Very good. And some people, yeah, you can bend the elbows too. If it helps you get a little bit of leverage, you can kind of bend the elbows, and that maybe gives you a little bit more of a balance. And then next time we try with the straight arms. Excellent. It looks like we're ready to move on. Okay, so the next one is crane. This is another fingertip posture. So we start like we're going into guillotine, right? So this is going to be shoulders through with the C grip pushing behind the calves. Thumbs forward, fingers back, and you're sitting on the shelf that's made by your upper arm. And today, again, maybe it's one leg, maybe the other, or maybe both for crane. So I'm going to show a version of which is flat palmed, called firefly. If you want to try this one, it's a little easier. Palms flat, fingers forward, sit on the upper arms, and then we shoot the legs out and elevator up. So let's see how this is going. Good. These are challenging postures. So we just try them a couple of times, and then we move on. And remarkably, even though you may only try it once or twice a week, the progress comes very fast. Okay, let's take a breath. So catch our breath from these really vigorous arm balancing postures, and we'll move on. Okay, next is a posture called life pose. So 2 options. One is going to be the more advanced option, is to bring your right leg into half lotus. If you know that's not going to happen today, bring your right leg in front of you just like this, because your left foot will be flat on the floor. Okay, I'll demonstrate this version. The armpit will go over the knee, and you're going to pedal down on your fingers with the left toes. The right hand comes to the right knee, pushes this knee down. Good. If you were in Austin, you have a couple of demonstrations in the full Lotus version. You can see this on Zoom. Great. And release. And we go to the other side. So again, you can choose your leg into the half lotus or into the bent in front of you. Right foot flat. Knee, toes in the same line. Bring your armpit over the right knee. And we're going to step down onto the right fingers, pushing the left knee down. So we have these lymph nodes in our armpit that the knee is actually sort of massaging here. Release. Everyone's favorite is coming up, leg circling. Okay, we're only going to do one set this time. So if you come to advanced class regularly, we do 2 and it's pretty tough. All right, so interlace fingers, grab your right foot, and it's like you're holding a burrito. And the circling is going to be, the heel will come to your stomach, up to the chest, and then out. So up and away from you is a circling, right? And the leg is really doing nothing. The leg is kind of dead weight, and you're using your arms to get the motion in the hip. So, okay, ready? We're gonna do one set of 30 on each side. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Other side. Grab your foot, interlace the fingers. Really try to get your spine straight. Heel come up, out, away from you. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So you may feel this in your arms. You can shake it out. Let that go. And then we're going to come to reverse this out with reverse plank. So legs together, palms flat, fingers facing forward, push the floor away, lift the hips up, head back. And you'll feel your biceps releasing from all that, basically bicep curls of your leg. Release, hips down. Now flip the hands the other way, palms facing back, and then lift the hips up again. Drop the head back, reverse plank, release. All right, we're going to bring the energy down a little bit now. Come to seated, right leg crossed, left leg crossed, just like you would sit when you were a kid. Okay. Your hands can be interlaced fingers in front of you or in a mudra of your choice, whatever feels comfortable for you today. So we're doing a series of preparations for Lotus. And so I'll talk more about Lotus in a second, but these first set of postures start to open our hips and our knees and our ankles to get ready for the Lotus. The first one is called, we casually call 2 toes up, because the left foot comes into the crease of the right knee, your big toe up. And then from this side, your right foot comes from underneath. And maybe the toe comes up, maybe it doesn't. It's okay. And then your hands, again, can be crossed in front of you or out to the sides. And release. So next is success in meditation, heel to heel. So we bring the right heel into the midline of the body. And then the left heel tries to come in front of the right heel. So if you were looking in the mirror, it would look like you had one heel. Maybe that doesn't happen today, but that's okay. We just try to work for that. And we hold this here in this posture. Stomach in. The pelvis is neutral. It's not arched. It's not rounded. Neutral. Slight chin tuck, long neck, spine. And we hold. Now we bring the soles of the feet together. Interlace fingers underneath the toes. Now the goal here is to tuck the chin, round down, and try to get the forehead to touch the toes. May not happen today, but we work on it by rounding the spine and maybe using the elbows to gently push the inner thighs down to the floor. And then we come up. And the next version of the posture, you can either leave one set of your hand on your feet and push the left knee down, and then you would switch it and push the right knee down. Or if you already know you're working on both knees, you would basically take the flat palms of your hands onto your knees, push both knees to the floor. Eventually, the shoulders will sort of come up to the ears, and over time, we work on bringing the shoulders down. So great. Okay. Next is good luck pose. So this one can be a little challenging also. What we're trying to go for eventually is coming up high on the toes and sitting on the heel. If that feels a little weird, you can kind of flatten your foot and sit this way. So we're coming so that your knee and your left knee and your right foot are in one line. You're sitting on the heel, and we're trying to close all the openings of the body and hold in a breath. So that pinkies are on the chin, ring finger on the mouth, middle finger on the nose, index finger on the eyes, thumbs are on the ears, and you're going to basically inhale and close all the openings, and you're going to hold for 20. I'll count. 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. You can use your hands on the floor to shift out of this. Bring the right foot in, sitting on the right heel, right knee to the floor, left heel out, heel, knee, one line. Hands cover the openings. Same thing. Inhale and hold for 20. 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Good. So come back to sitting in the center of the mat, and we prepare for the lotus. So lotus can be an intense posture on the knees, and if you know today that you have some knee issues, what I would suggest is that instead of trying these lotus postures, we're going to do about 8 or 9 of them in different versions. Just do half lotus. So you bring the right leg up, and then when I shift to new posture, bring the right leg down and switch it to the left leg. So you're just doing half lotus each side as we go through these. And if you are feeling like your lotus is good today, you can sort of follow along and do the postures. So first is half lotus, right leg in. Lotus, left leg on top, or switch to half lotus on the other side. And so in this lotus, we're always working on this left knee coming a little further down to the floor because it's the leg on top. It tends to want to come up. And then you can turn about 45 degrees on your mat so that you can get your hands on your mat. And we're going to do what's called lifting lotus. And it's a little bit like that finger stand where we're going to use our fingertips, thumbs in, fingers out, lift the lotus up. And we're trying to get the toes above, back behind the elbows. So we're going to push the floor away, lift the lotus up, and try to hook these toes over the top of the elbows. And then we bring it down. Okay, shift back to the front of your mat. Good. Next is called bound lotus. So by tradition, the left arm comes around, and we try to bind the top of the left foot. The right arm comes around, we try to bind the top of the right foot. You can do this in half lotus as well. So you can come into your half lotus, reach the same arm behind and try to bind, and then you can switch it out to the other side. If you're watching on the Zoom, we have some beach poses going on. Jeff is demonstrating, which is great. It's a nice way to open up the hips if the lotus isn't quite available yet. Release the bound lotus. Next, we do lotus in L. So tops of the hands will come to the upper buttocks, and we're going to lean back onto the forearms. And this is a little bit more of a relaxing posture, just making a 90-degree angle with the lotus and the spine. And then we come back up. Next is we call fetal. This one can be a little challenging, especially if the room is dry where you are, or you're wearing pants. It may be sort of inaccessible. So we'll try it, right? So the right hand tries to come through the lotus. Left hand through. I'm pretty dry today. If I had some lotion, maybe. So you can see Mardy on Zoom has got it. And I'll interlace fingers. This is about as far as I'll go today. Eventually what we're going for is interlace fingers behind the head and tucking in. It would look something like this. Good, nice, release. Okay, next is fish. So we come to the elbows, all the way back, lean back. The hands will come to the floor, palms down, fingertips away from you. And as the lotus comes down, we're going to try to bring the head up top of the head to the floor, the hands release around to the top of the feet, and we try to pull, getting a really deep back bend as we're in this fish pose. So again, this left knee wants to come up, we work on bringing it down. So to release fish, first tuck the chin to make the head and neck long flat, and then bring the lotus up, grab the knees, and you can use a little bit of momentum to swing up. Okay, so now we're gonna scooch to the back of the mat. The next posture, and at any time you can release the lotus if you need to. If it's too much on your knees, ankles, always release it and then just jump back in. So we next do spider, coming to the top of the knees, and then we're gonna kind of walk this posture out and lay it flat on the floor. Eventually, bottoms of feet flat to the floor. So chin forward, and then the hands come in reverse namaskar. Your whole neck and would be eventually flat. I have a microphone here, so I'm not going to come all the way down. And then again, you want to think about pushing your hips into the floor flat. Get a little bit more opening. Okay, release, bring hands to the floor, push the floor away, and we come up from mountain. So again, this is a very challenging balancing posture, balancing on both knees in lotus. By tradition, left hand will come up like you're in a half moon, and then the right hand is going to come into prayer first, and then reach up to the ceiling, and you're stretching up. I will be wobbling a little bit. This posture is 10 years in the making. It takes some time. If you look on Zoom, we have some nice mountains in Austin. World mountain elitist, Mardy. She's smiling, I can see her. It's a fun posture, and it takes a lot of time. Okay, so we move on. Last posture in the Lotus series is Kukutasana, rooster pose. So we come with the hands flat, bring your knees all the way up to the wrists. And so today, if you feel like you're not going to be able to lift all the way up, maybe again, it's one side at a time only, or a little hop to get both knees off the floor, see what that feels like. And then eventually we try to work the entire rooster pose, knees all the way up, above the elbows, holding it here. And then we have a series of advanced versions where the head will drop to the floor, that lotus comes all the way up, and then maybe you can release your lotus, and then maybe bring it back. And then to reverse out of this, bring the lotus back down to the tops of the forearms, stomach in, shifting the weight forward, and coming back into the rooster pose. So, fancy. It's fun. Okay, we are ready for Savasana. Let's turn around and head to the top of your mat, feet to the back of your mat. I am going to grab just a little bit of water as we take our Savasana. So we've done a lot of new things in this first part of the advanced class. Many of the things you've seen before, and then a lot of new ones, especially this Lotus series. And so it takes time, but the great thing about the advanced class is that the progress comes actually pretty quickly. So doing an advanced class just once per week, you'll start to notice tremendous gains in your flexibility and strength. And then you'll see that it also helps your beginner's class. So take some breaths here. As we prepare for the next part of the class, I think it's so cool that we all get to do this. I'm really grateful that we have this opportunity, right? And so we're in a situation where It's not easy to always be together in the hot room like we used to be, but we have this wonderful technology, and our fearless leaders have really taken charge and sort of given us this opportunity to practice together in this amazing format. And so, although times are challenging right now, we can take this opportunity to be grateful and really thankful to what we do have available to us. So we'll move on to the next part of the series, and we start with wind removing pose, Pavanamuttasana. Bring the right leg up, and two options for the grip. You can either interlace fingers like in beginner's class, or you can wrap the arms around the knee and grab elbows each other. Pull this right knee down and out to towards the shoulder. Release the right leg, left leg comes up. Again, two grip options. The second one being to wrap the arms around and grab the elbows each other. A little bit more advanced grip. Release the left leg down. Now both legs come up. Wrapping all the way around, just like beginner's class. Trying to get that lower spine down to the floor. Slight tucking of the chin. So eventually your neck spine will also be flat to the floor one day. And release. Legs out, palms up. We'll do our first sit-up. Heels and toes together, arms overhead. Inhale, sit up, grab the toes, double exhale. And we turn around for the spine strengthening series. So we'll start with Cobra, and we're going to go through all four of these postures for the spine in one superset. Okay? So ready? Bring the legs together and bend the spine, lift up, and look up to the ceiling. Keeping the belly button on the floor, squeezing inner thighs together. Change, come down. Bring the arms underneath, pinkies touching. Contract the right leg, lift the right leg up. Release, left leg, contract it, lift it all the way up. Think about rotating that thigh down a little bit. So you have a flat foot towards the ceiling, release. Mouth down, both legs, bring them all the way up. Legs together, contract squeeze the knees together, and release. Arms out to the side, like airplane wings. One cobra tail. Ready? Bring everything off the floor and look up to the ceiling. Hold it here. Breathe. Look up to the ceiling. Come up one last time. Change. Bend the knees. Grab the tops of the feet for bow pose, Dhanurasana. Ready? Kick. And as you kick into your hands, slight rolling of the body forward, looking up to the ceiling, holding this in bow for 3, 2, 1. Change. Good. Now bring your right ear, so Savasana on your stomach, all the way to the floor. Look left. Other side, left ear, all the way to the floor, look right. Chin forward, use the hands to push up. Come to the top of your mat, fix firm. Y'all know this one? And so we just go ahead and get right into it. Palms flat on the feet, right elbow, left elbow, top of the head, back of the head. Once you're all the way down, the elbows can come overhead, grab elbows each other. Really thinking about this, this bending in your spine, this back bend. Can you get that back bend up a little bit more into the thoracic spine? Can you get those knees just a little bit closer together? Holding it here. These are quick, so we have to work quickly to get the benefits. Change, come up. Use your elbows into the middle of the mat. Bring the knees together, sit on the heels. Arms overhead. Half tortoise. Hinge at the waist, come all the way down. Forehead to the floor. The hips will come back, eventually touching the heels as you stretch your palms, prayer together forward. Holding it here. And then to come out, try lifting your arms first and then the head. All the way up. Come up onto the knees, right knee out 6 inches, hands to the lower back. Ready for your camel. Push the hips forward. Right hand to the heel, left hand to the left heel. Think about squeezing between your shoulder blades, pushing the hips forward, dropping the head back. Camel, Ustrasana pose. So good for your back and your spine. To come out, hands to the hips, sit back down on the heels, bring the knees together. Grab your heels for rabbit. Tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knees, top of the head to the floor, and pull. So you want to pull and bring those hips forward so eventually your legs will be perpendicular, thighs will be perpendicular to the floor. Stomach in, shoulders up away from the ears. Pull, pull, pull. Come out. Good. Let's take a quick Savasana. Catch our breath. After all of those spine strengthening and opening postures. And from here, we're going to move on into some more hip opening. So heels and toes together, arms overhead. Inhale, sit up, grab the toes, double exhale. Separate leg head to knee, Janusharasana. Right leg out, bend the left foot in. Grab your right foot, tuck the chin, round down, forehead to the knee. Bring the elbows down to the floor if you can. This is our regular beginner's class posture. Everyone knows this one. Release, come up, switch the legs. Right leg in, left leg out. Reach for that left foot. And then stomach in, round down, forehead to the knee. Maybe you need to bend your knee today, totally fine. And release, come up, both legs. Let's do our quick sit-up. And come back up. Paschimottanasana stretching pose. So some of you may need to bend your knees because that's what you're working on today, straight spine. And again, you can walk the hips back, eventually working on bringing these elbows down, long spine, reaching the collarbones forward, holding it here for stretching. Release, come up. Next is straddle. Bring the right leg out, left leg out. So in the straddle position, what we're working on is getting some rotation in the hips. And so you really want to think about these, the hips rolling inward for internal rotation. And so if the spine can stay straight, then we start to lean forward and maybe the hands come to the floor, maybe the elbows come to the floor, eventually the whole torso comes to the floor. If that's too much, maybe we might need to bring the legs in a little bit to keep this spine straight, okay? So the preference would be a straight spine as we articulate the hips into this rotation rather than a rounded spine, okay? So wherever you are today, we're gonna lean forward and hold this here and feeling these inner thighs opening. Maybe the hands will grab the big toes, come all the way down. A deep, intense stretch, working the inner thigh muscles. And then we come up. So next is frog. Bend the knees, about mat width distance, about 90 degrees with the legs, and then the arms will come underneath, also at 90 degrees. So from here, maybe this is kind of where you get stuck, and that's okay. What we're working on eventually is to bring these heels forward, and then the upper legs push down on the upper arms. Whole torso comes down to the floor for frog pose. And then over time, the heels will come off the floor, as will the whole hip structure, which I will not show you today because I don't have it right now. Okay, so to come out of this, bend those knees and then try to work the arms out. Good. Okay, so upward stretching. So for this posture, we're going to start by hugging the knees in, coming onto the hips, and trying to just balance on the sits bones, okay? Hovering here. And then for upward stretching, if you really feel like this upward stretching posture, which is sort of, this postures me too much, maybe we just work on one leg at a time, right? That's great today for people who are new to the series and new to the upward stretching. Otherwise, we try to do upward stretching by bringing our fingertips underneath the heels, and it's like we're going to try to do a pull-up off of our heels. So the legs come up, contract the thighs, and we pull to try to get the chest up, long spine. Eventually, the face will come in to the shins, and we hold this upward stretching here. It takes a lot of core strength, and change. Good. Now we're going to do preparation for splits. So we do a splits in this series, a front split, but we work on it over time. So I'm going to start with you in this sort of high lunge position, okay? My left foot is on the floor, my right knee is on the floor, and I'm about 90-degree angle. I'm going to try to get some stretching into this right hip flexor. Good. So Jeff, yep, I see it. So we're going to basically start to shift the weight forward and open up this right hip flexor, okay? So depending on how much your spine is either arched or not, you may get more or less hip flexor opening. Square hips, you might get a little bit more. If you kind of arch the spine a little bit, maybe a little less, but you go a little deeper. So it really depends on what we're working on, hip flexor, quadriceps. Okay, so we're now going to shift the weight back for a hamstring opening. And so what this looks like is trying to keep the hips very square, left leg out, left leg contracted. Your hands can come to the floor, but we'll try to keep the spine very straight, right? So rather than rounding like this, I would rather keep your spine straight and hinge at the waist, and maybe you only go this far. Alternatively, if you have some more opening of the hamstrings, this can come down a little further, a little further. The abdomen hits the thigh, and then maybe over time, the whole face will come down to the shin. So there's variations for everyone. Everyone can do some version of this posture, even if you only start here and just hinge forward just a tiny bit. Okay, we're going to shift the weight forward, plant the left foot on the floor, and this is just going to be a simple sort of grasshopper posture. So you're going to tuck the right toes, palms flat, straighten the right leg. Now, this could be the easier version, or maybe the elbows come down to the floor, getting a little bit more opening in the lower hamstring of the left side and the right hip flexor. So just hang out here for a couple of seconds. And then to come out of this, you can plant your hands again, come all the way up, drop the right knee, bring the left leg back, switch the legs out, and we'll go to the other side. Starting with our 90-degree sort of lunging position. Again, if hips are really square and shifting forward, we'll get a little bit more hip flexor. If the hips dip forward into more of a back bend, you'll get a little bit more quadricep, inner thigh. So you can decide kind of what you're wanting to go for today in terms of opening up this front side. Maybe your left arm will come up, and that can give you just a little bit more opening as you reach forward. And you can do these at home while you're watching people do yoga on YouTube, or, whatever it is you watch on YouTube. So it's all relaxing postures, right? Okay, so let's shift the hips back and then really lock out this front leg, flex the right foot, toes to the ceiling. And again, maybe you're coming up high today and only starting here and stopping at this point. Totally fine. Maybe the hands will come to the floor, get a little bit more opening. keeping the spine really straight, leading with the chest and the chin. On this side, I'm a little less open, so I will not bring my whole face down to the shin. I'm just gonna hang out here. So what I feel is outer hamstring where it meets the gluteus, but some people may feel this more in the middle hamstring. Really depends. And you could even also bend the knee a little bit if it's pulling on the back of your knee. So let's shift the weight forward, bring this right foot flat, bring both hands on the inside, tuck the left toes, and we're coming into our casual grasshopper. Maybe the elbows will come all the way down. You might feel that a little bit more in that front left hip. These are deep hip opening, all in preparation for what we're about to do next, which of course is the front split. So to release this, push the hands into the floor, bring this left leg back. So to get into the front split, I'm going to start with the left leg forward. I'm going to bring my hands to the floor. I like to put my fists down, just I feel more stable this way, but you can use palms flat, whatever you want. Tuck the right toes. I'm going to come up high. So maybe for your split, this is where you're starting. Maybe you're up high today. Over time, we'll walk this left heel forward and try to be mindful that your right hip is coming down and forward rather than opening out. Okay, so this is a true yoga split with square hips. Maybe you're coming all the way to the floor, maybe not. It's all good. Okay, so if you were all the way down to the floor, you know that you can bring your arms overhead and you can reach up for the back bend. So there's people who will be on Zoom demonstrating. Reaching back, and then after the back bend, we reach forward. The head goes to the knee for a rounded spine. And then over time, we reach the spine forward for a long spine. So we do all different, just the spine will go backwards, it'll round forward, and then it extends long, all in the split. Now to come out of this, you can either push yourself back up, or you can just kind of roll out to the side and bend the knee and release to the other side. Good. So now we're on the right side. I'm going to plant my fists. I'm going to tuck the left toes, come up high, extend the right leg, and that right heel is going to walk forward. All the while keeping this left hip down, forward, not open, and then trying to, again, it also helps to contract the muscles that will help release the other side. So on the right side, contract the right quadriceps to release the right hamstring, contract the left back glute to release the left hip flexor. And we hold it here. And of course, if you have it available, you can work on your back bending and the forward bending and then the spinal extension forward, all the while keeping the split down to the floor. Good. Now we'll come out of this, bend this front leg, and we'll move right into pigeon. So pigeon should be a pose accessible to most people. The left knee will bend forward first. Sort of the beginner pigeon would be to have your left heel touching the front of your right hip. Over time, if you feel accessible, you may be able to bring that foot out further. Today, do what your body's calling for your pigeon. And then we bring this whole pigeon down, chest down, extending the arms out in front, and really just letting gravity do its job. So the torso is coming down, the knee, the hip is sort of in flexion. We're getting an opening of the outer glute muscles, piriformis, glute medius. This should feel good. This is oftentimes something you can do before bed. It feels nice to kind of open up the hips a little bit before going to sleep. Okay, so now we move on to the more advanced versions of the pigeon. So from here, bring both hands on the inside of its knee, and I'm going to have you reach your right arm back and try to grab the big toe from the inside. So we're just getting the big toe. The thumb is going in between the big toe and the second toe. And what you'll feel is the right pectoralis, front shoulder, bicep opening up as this leg kind of just releases back. This should feel fairly comfortable, not like you're pulling anything. So you can stay here, or for those of you who are prepared to move on to pigeon, you know, you can bring your palm flat, reach back, grab the flexed foot from the inside. So if you're not doing, so you can stay in the other version of the posture, or you can stay in regular pigeon. And then again, we're getting the opening. Maybe the shoulder starts to rotate. Elbow would come up. Elbow comes into the midline of the head. And if you're here, maybe the head drops back, eventually touching the foot for your pigeon. And then eventually both arms actually come up. So I'll just show you the kind of the way to get there. Eventually I draw my head all the way back. So sort of king pigeon. To release this, the shoulder reverses the rotation, release the right foot back, let go, and bring it forward. Okay, now we're going to switch sides. Left leg back, right leg forward, bringing this right hip to the left heel, or wherever your comfortable heel position is today. And then leaning all the way forward, coming down, torso over the leg. Maybe the arms stretch out forward, maybe the head comes to the floor. Getting a very nice relaxing pigeon on this side. Open up that outer right hip. If you are working from home a lot these days, you might be sitting a lot more than you realize. Our hips and our knees, they kind of take a beating while it's just sitting there doing nothing. And so these are really good for counteracting all the sitting that many of us may be doing while we're sort of working from home in a quarantine type situation. So we come up now, right hand on the inside, reach this left arm back, grab the big toe. And again, we're just working on opening this left side. This should feel like a nice stretch, pectoralis, front of the shoulder, right bicep, nicely opening. If you think about it, it looks a little bit like a standing bow, right? Remember standing bow, we do this. So it's this same kind of motion in a back bend, to the twist a little bit. And then now for the pigeon, we would flex the foot towards the ceiling, palm flat up, reach back, grab this foot from the inside. You can stay here to feel this opening again, or if it's accessible, bend the elbow, shoulder rotation, dropping the head back, foot to the back of the head, and hanging out here. And then to release, bring the head up, reverse the shoulder rotation, arm back, let go of the foot, and change. So now we're going to come to standing. So we're going to do 2 standing postures to finish off this series before we have another Savasana. The first is standing splits. And so I'm going to sort of give you the instructions for the very kind of basic way to get into standing splits. If you have another version you like, you can obviously go ahead and practice that. So we're going to start by standing on the left leg, and then the right leg will be in the split. So the right leg steps back about a foot, right hand to the floor where the right foot used to be. Bring your C-grip hand behind your left heel. As you shift the weight forward into the left foot and right hand, kick this right leg back up behind you. And you're pushing the floor away, you're pulling on your heel, stomach in. Over time, this right hand might be able to release behind the left hand for one full C-grip behind the left heel, stretching, kicking, all the way up into a standing split. The final expression of the posture being to tilt the head so that the face comes towards the shin. And we hold it here. And then to release, this right leg comes down. You can come up to standing, just kind of start over. Left leg steps back, left palm down to the floor where the left foot used to be. Right hand comes around into a C grip. Grab that heel, shift the weight forward, balance all the weight into this right foot, push the floor away, kick the left leg up behind you. You know, the goal is, of course, square hips, but many of us do a little hip opening, and that's, you know, we work on it, right? It's all about progress. Maybe the left hand releases behind the right hand, again, pulling, elbows behind the calf, pointing the toe up, kicking, holding the balance here. If you're feeling good, maybe your head will tilt and your face will come flat to the shin. Change. Release the leg down. Come to standing. Good. Okay, we're gonna finish off with dancer and we take a break. So dancer is a very challenging pose, and so I'm gonna give instructions for the preparation to get to dancer. If you have a dancer, you are welcome to go ahead with it, but I'm only gonna be giving instructions for the preparations that would lead us to that position. So it's gonna look like a standing bow. I'm gonna grab my big toe from the inside rather than hooking the ankle, okay? So right hand up, grab this big toe from the inside, bring the left palm up facing forward. Now, we're not gonna bring the body down like in a standing bow. Rather, we're gonna stretch up and just kick the leg behind you, but keep the torso up. So we're using the kick to create the back bend while we're holding this big toe. This is our preparation for the dancer. And if you were doing this in a drill format, you would do about 10 of these on each side. But we're not gonna do that today. So let's change the other side. So the left hand up, grab this big toe from the inside, knees together, right arm up, palm facing forward, stretch up, and just kick, but keep the torso up and really try to keep this arm back with the ear. Super intense spine opening in preparation for the dancer pose. And release. Okay, so we'll do one more set. You can do the exact same thing we just did, or if you're working on your pigeon grip and maybe you're going to your dancer, we'll go ahead and do that as well. So I'm gonna work on a pigeon grip, but please, if you're not familiar with the pigeon grip, just go ahead and grab your big toe again. So this time we'll grab a pigeon grip, and then the hand, left arm comes up, and again, we kick, and we leave the torso up, kicking, kicking, kicking. Now, if you have the rotation, feel free to go ahead and do it. I can show it better on the other side, not quite so much on this side. And at any time, you're welcome to come out of the posture, catch your breath. Good. Okay, let's try the other side. So again, this pigeon grip, if you're working on it, you would have your palm up, flex foot, grab the foot from the inside, knees together, arm up, palm flat forward, stretch up, and then kick straight back. And then if you wanted to try the rotation, it's just like the pigeon rotation. And then we try to reach with the other hand. So eventually, for people who have wonderful back bends, this leg comes into a full, complete split. The top leg is completely extended and the bottom leg straight up and down. It's an amazing posture. Marty's gonna go for it again. Do it. So if you're on Zoom, you can see Mardy is working her rotation. If you're not on Zoom, you're on YouTube, we can do another version. Just hang out here. Like I said, if we're doing drills, we would keep going back and forth multiple times to really work that opening. Okay, now we come to the floor for our Savasana. So if you are in the hot room right now, you might feel very sort of taxed after these postures. So you do your standing splits, and then you do your dancer preparations, and then your dancer, and it really does take the wind out of you. So it requires some recovery at this point. That's why we come to our Savasana. And what I found over the years is this is the point where, as an instructor, I get very quiet. And so the challenge, of course, doing this in a live audio format is to not be quiet. And so I'm explaining to you the process that I experience when I'm coming out of the dancer pose, which is oftentimes my energy wants to go really low down. And that's a good thing because we're recovering. And so we do that here. We have our time to recover. We take our Savasana. We take a few breaths. And then once we've got our sort of composure back, we can move on to the next part of the advanced series. Let's do a sit-up. Heels and toes together, arms overhead. Inhale, come up. Double exhale. So now we're doing what's called the double-sided series. These are all postures that work on different versions of twisting. We're going to bring both legs off the mat for archer pose. Bring the left leg, bend it, and the left foot comes outside the right knee. So your legs are crossed, but your arms are not going to cross. They're just going to reach forward and grab big toes. Right hand to left big toe, left hand to right big toe, index fingers on top of the toes. And for archer, the chin comes to the left shoulder and we pull the left heel up towards the right ear as we twist the spine, making like, it looks like a bow and arrow. Release. Other side. So you'll move your feet to the other side. This time the right leg will come up, right foot outside of the left knee. Again, the legs have crossed, so we're going to grab those toes, but don't cross the arms. Just reach forward, make little donuts, grab your big toe, index fingers on top, chin to the right shoulder, inhale, pull this right heel up to the left ear as you twist the spine for archer pose. Very nice. Change. Next is four angle. Two options for four angle. The easier one is to bend the left knee in front or bring the left leg into the firm position. Your choice today. The right leg will come up, going to cradle the right shin underneath. Maybe you stay here with both arms like this, or release the left arm behind the head, interlace fingers, backs of the hands face the front. This is called four angle. Release, other side. The right leg can come into firm position or bend in front of you. The left shin comes up. Again, you can stay and cradle this left shin or release the right hand behind the head. Interlace fingers. Elbow will come out of the back of the head, looking forward, backs of the hands face in front of you. Change. Good. Next is cow face. So bend the left knee right in front of you and bring the right knee on top. It's like you're doing a super cross-legged position. You may need to sort of adjust a little bit. You might want to maybe come forward and then come and sit back down. So we're really getting these knees stacked and the hips coming in close towards, the heels coming in close to the hips. Right leg is on top. That means the right arm comes up and behind, left arm from bottom and behind, and we try to interlace the fingers. So if you can see this on, I'm trying to do the interlaced fingers, or maybe you can use a towel and sort of make an extension cord. Either way works. We're just opening the hips and the shoulders to get this posture. Change to switch it out. Right leg on bottom, left leg on top. Bring these heels close to the hips. And of course, the arms are switched with the left arm coming up and behind, and the right arm reaching around behind, maybe interlacing fingers, maybe not, and holding it here. So we're working on maybe this left elbow comes back. Change. Spine twist. So this will look like the regular spine twist from beginner's class. Bend the left knee, bring the right heel in front of the left knee, reach up, and bring the hand in between the ankle and the knee, reach around, grab the top of the thigh, and this is your regular spine twist. You look back behind you and twist, 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 release. Other side. Bend the left knee. Bend the right knee, left foot in front, reach up, hand in between, reach the left arm around, grab the top of the thigh, and we twist. And twist, and twist. Release. Okay, so in this series, we have another posture called full spine twist. I'm actually going to show you more of an intermediate version, and if you are practicing full spine twist, feel free to go ahead and do it, but it is a pretty intense posture on the knees, and so I'd rather have people work on the progress to get there rather than this full version of the posture. So we're first going to bend the left knee in, and then rather than having the right heel come to the knee, see if you can get this heel a little further up the thigh, just a little bit, a few inches. And this makes it just a little bit more challenging. Same thing, hand will come down, grab this knee, or maybe this hand can come through the crook of the leg and you can bind. So this is more of an intermediate spine twist without having to do the deep Lotus variation of the full spine twist. And release. Other side. So again, heel would come to knee, but then we try to bring it back a little further up the thigh. Right arm stretches up, reaches down. Maybe you're grabbing your knee, or maybe you're coming through the leg and trying to bind as the left arm reaches back and tries to grab that right wrist. And then we turn, look over the left shoulder, and twist, and twist. Release. Okay, let's do a quick Savasana. So now that we've gone through all of the beginning series, we've gone through spine strengthening, the standing series. We finished off with all these twisting postures. We now move on to some deeper variations of some of these back bends and forward bends. And so this is the part of the class where, if you're not familiar with the advanced series, it becomes seemingly a little bit more challenging, but there's always a point at which you can try and then stop, and maybe you don't go on to a full expression of the posture. And so we'll start with the sit-up, heels and toes together, arms overhead, inhale, and let's sit up. Double exhale. So we're leading up to a posture called bow-legged, and we first do this by getting into a sort of modified pigeon with the right knee forward, left leg all the way back, and both hands on the inside of the knee, and I'm going to reach back, grab the top of my foot with the palm of my hand so that my toes and my fingers are facing the same direction. And from here, the elbow will rotate up, and I'm trying to basically sort of gently push the top of the foot down, and the heel will come in towards the outside of the hip. So maybe today it's, you're just trying to get some of this leverage, right? That's fine. Or we've got this foot coming all the way down. Over time, we won't sort of go there today, but what we're going for eventually is bow-legged, which is to take this foot and hook it underneath the ribs and hold it there. Okay, so we'll switch to the other side. I'm going to turn a little bit so you can see me. This time the left knee forward, right leg bends. Again, toes, fingers, same direction, taking the hand, pushing the top of the foot, elbow rotates up, and this foot comes all the way in towards the hip. And if we were going for the bow-legged, we would try to be getting this toe underneath the rib cage. Nice, I can see Marty's got it. Good, okay. So let's change and come all the way to the floor on the stomach. We're gonna do a very similar variation of that, but we're doing this on our stomach, and you can actually take your forearm, plant it, grab the left foot again, and bring it down, right? So you can do one leg at a time on the stomach. Then you would switch it. So again, take your time here, because I'm actually getting towards both leg version. And then what we're going for here, of course, is to grab the tops of the both feet, rotate the elbows, push the feet down, and then holding this version of the posture. You can always just work on one side at a time. Good. And release. Okay, so we'll come up to sitting. So the next series is leg behind the head. We have quite a few postures here. We're only going to do a couple of them today, since this may be more of an introduction to advanced class for some of you. And yeah, that's it. So first, we're going to start off with what we call rock the baby. So you're going to bring your right foot up into the bent left elbow. And it's like you're cradling your shin with a straight spine and just doing little rocks back and forth, back and forth. You want to bend your left knee in. Yes, thank you. And we're just rocking back and forth very gently. And then we'll release this right leg. We'll bring the left foot up into the crook of the right elbow. Again, reaching around, interlacing fingers, spine straight, and just doing some rocking here. All this is opening, more hip opening so that we can work on leg behind the head. Okay, now let's take our hand, hook the outside, the top of the foot, extend the right leg up. You can actually use your left hand if you want to sort of have a kickstand either way or not. And then we're going to swing this leg back and forth across. So just getting some motion here laterally. And then we're going to stop in the midline. And now we're going to work on rotating internally and externally just the thigh muscle, the upper thigh. So it's going to look a little bit like this. Feels kind of weird at the beginning. Okay, good. Other side. Hook the outside top of the foot with your left hand, reach it up, working on straight leg, but if you need to bend, that's totally fine too. You can have a bent leg here, but eventually trying to get it straightened out. Back and forth, opening up. Good. Stop in the midline, and then we're going to do this rotation. Yes. All right. So, leg behind the head. What we're really going for here is trying to get the knee up towards the body, out and back. And so at the beginning, just getting the knee behind the shoulder for a lot of people is the challenge. And so if the leg is in front of the head, this is a great place to start. Over time, we work on getting the leg back further behind the head. Maybe you might be tucking your head a little bit. That's totally fine. But you don't want to have too much pressure with your ankle pushing your head forward. So I always recommend kind of holding the foot if this is a new version or new posture for you. And of course, stomach always in when we're doing these leg behind the head. This is a deep forward compression for the spine. Good. Okay, so let's move to the other side. I have this cool Madonna microphone on, so I can't quite get the leg behind the head today. It's a little interesting, so that's fun. So we're going to work on getting this knee out, back, and then I like to take my thumb and take the calf muscle, push it behind, and then the leg will get behind the head a little easier that way. And again, if you're in here and if you can let go of your hand, you can bring your hands into prayer, of course. Stomach in, holding this. It's a super intense forward bend, super intense hip opening, and release. So in the interest of time, we're going to turn around and do Yoga Nidra. And so this is sleeping yogi on the back, and we'll start off with a preparation, happy baby. Take your fingers, hook them on the outsides of your feet. The soles of the feet will face the ceiling, and then you're gently going to pull the feet down, and then your elbows can use the sort of push on the insides of the knees just a little bit to get more opening in the groin and the hips. So you're welcome to stay here, or if you want to try to work on both legs behind the head, I like to take my hands behind my Achilles, sort of push the legs back, trying to get both legs behind the head, wrapping the ankles, and then eventually arms coming to interlace the fingers beneath the lower spine. It's called sleeping yogi. You can take a nap here. It's supposed to be relaxing. Release. Good. Okay, now that we're on our backs, let's just stay right here. And we're going to work on the preparation for plow. So bring the hands underneath about, halfway. So you cover your thumb and your first finger underneath your buttocks, and then lower the spine all the way to the floor. And then think about, you're going to lift your right leg up just a couple of inches off the floor as you contract the transverse lower abdominal muscles. Release the right leg. Reset the spine, lower it to the floor, then contract the left leg and lift it straight up a couple of inches. We're not going sort of for a super way up there, just bring it just off the floor. That'll force you to contract and use your lower abdominal muscles even more. Release the left leg. Now reset the spine. Both legs come up. You might feel a little trembling. Feels like you're really working that lower core. And release. So for preparation for plow, we're going to swing the legs up over the head 5 times. And so depending on your spinal flexibility, maybe you're just going to go here today and then bring the legs back down. Don't let the heels touch and then come back up. Or maybe you're coming all the way over, touching the toes to the floor, and then coming back down. And we'll do this 5 times. Legs up, touch the toes, legs down, up at your own pace. You can do your 5. And then after we do these 5 preparations for plow, we come back to our lying Savasana, and then all together, we're going to do the 6th plow. So we'll bring the legs up, over, touch the toes, and now we're going to hold it here and plow. So we're going to try to reach the toes back. From here, let's just take the hands to the lower back, bring the knees to the forehead, bend the feet, knees, and stretch up into shoulder stand. So with shoulder stand, we're thinking about the hips pushing forward and the feet pushing back, so we get really straight legs. We normally have a lotus here, but we're going to skip it. So we would normally do a lotus, and then we release the lotus, and to come out of the shoulder stand, we bend the knees to the forehead, palms flat to the floor, slowly roll down, extend the legs out behind you. And then from here, we release all this forward bending with long fish. So we're going to push the elbows down, top of the head to the floor, looking behind you, coming up into a back bend. And it really feels nice to kind of close the teeth, and you feel a stretch along the front of your neck. To release, sort of bring the chin down and bring the arms out. So we'll move on to the full series, arms overhead. Ready for the sit-up. Double exhale. Turn around. This is our full series, spine strengthening, spine opening, spine mobility, all of it together. Starting with full cobra. Bring your feet mat width distance this time rather than the one cobra tail. Your hands will look just like our regular cobra, elbows up. And again, we bring the whole spine up, leave the belly button on the floor, look up to the ceiling. And then from here, we try to bend the knees, eventually working on the back of the head, reaching for the toes in our full cobra position. You sort of feel your back muscles maybe really contracting here, almost feeling they might cramp a little bit. You're doing it right. Release. Okay. Full bow. So again, wide feet, bend the knees, and grab your big toes from the inside. So rather than grabbing from the outside like in regular bow, we're going to bring the hands on the inside, grab those big toes, and we do our bow pose. Kick, look up, reach up to the ceiling, look up, kick up. And some of you may have a rotation here. I do not, where you could rotate your shoulders, and yes, on Zoom we can see this. This is more of a full Dhanurasana bow pose. Excellent. And then change. Okay, let's come up onto our knees for full camel. So this time the knees are going to be wide and the toes touching. So we're going to do a couple of warm-ups here. The first one is going to bring the hands in prayer just underneath the chin, and you're going to have your fingertips just touching the chin lightly. And you're going to guide your neck back gently as you bring the elbows together and try to
Bend the spine backwards so that eventually the elbows are pointing up to the ceiling. Sort of a deep opening neck and the whole spine.
And release that. Good. So our next one is going to be, so two options. One is to keep your hands on your lower hips like you do a beginner's class, or to walk the hands straight down the backs of the calves into the crease of the knees for a little bit deeper opening of the spine in this position. If you squeeze the upper backs of the shoulders together, push the hips forward, you really feel some nice opening in this deeper version of camel. And then we come up. Okay. So I won't be demonstrating a full camel today. We might see one on Zoom, but I'm going to sort of walk you through the process of getting into full camel for those of us who are not quite there yet. Okay. So it looks like a half moon. So we bring the arms overhead, and I like to interlace fingers here. So in regular camel, we would normally do prayer, but if you interlace fingers, you have strength in your fingertips to squeeze the palms together. And then again, stretch up. And all we're doing is imagining that you're just doing a half moon while you're in the camel knee position. So we look at the ceiling and point to the thing you're looking at. And then think about looking a couple inches along the ceiling further back and then point to that thing. And you do it again. You look down a couple of inches and you point. Each time the arms are going back further with the ears, little by little by little. And we get to a point where you feel you're kind of sort of not going back any further, you wait, you hold it. And that's where the magic happens, right? So we all want to sort of go into our camels and touch the floor behind us, which we're going to watch maybe Marty do this right now. Yes. But that takes time. And so if we're not there yet, we do this half moon version of the camel and we wait in that position so that we get the opening, so that we can eventually get back a little further. It's all quantum. We eventually get quantize into infinity of an arc. Beautiful. And we release. Yes, these are pretty deep, intense camels. Take your breath. Okay. And so, of course, we have to do bridge and wheel. There's just so much to do in this class, but it's so fun. Okay, so let's come to our backs. Bring the feet up by the hips, by maybe about a foot's width distance, and then you're going to come into a very easy bridge by pushing the floor down with your feet, hips up. And this is getting us ready to prepare for wheel. So if you're not ready for wheel today, you can work on these bridges, and I'll even give you some options. You can try one-legged bridges by switching the feet out left and right. You can do bridge pulses. You can pop up on the toes and do little hot Pilates bridging pulses. But if you are working on your wheel, then we would move on to wheel by bringing the hands up by the ears, elbows up, palms flat, fingertips facing back down the body, and then you push the hips up, push the floor away, and come up into your wheel pose. Now, for beginners, I like to have you come on your toes to take out some of the sort of excessive arch in the lower spine. So it's your wheel. You need to decide if you're going to be on your toes or on your flat feet. And we hold this wheel here, imagining your whole chest is going to move forward to get some more opening in the shoulders. And then we can release. Come back down. Now, in the interest of time, we're only going to do maybe one more wheel. And for those of you who are working on your wheels and you know kind of what you're doing, feel free to do your variations, a one-legged wheel, drop on your elbows. But we'll take just a few more seconds to do one more bridge or one more wheel, and then we have to move on. So I'm going to work on sort of one-legged wheel, pushing up, and then trying to get a little bit more back bend by walking the hands towards the feet, and then bringing this left foot into the midline, kicking the right leg up, extending the right leg to the ceiling, pointing the right toes, holding this one-legged wheel, bringing the right leg back down into the midline, switching the legs, kicking the left leg up, pointing the left toes to the ceiling, all the while trying to keep the arms straight. And then I'll come out of this by bringing the left leg down and then walking back out a little bit to give more space to release. Good. Okay. We'll take one quick breath and a quick Savasana in this position. And we're almost in the home stretch, everyone. I know it's a tough class. It's a full 2 hours on a normal day. We're going to cut it a little short today. So again, we can be grateful we have the opportunity to take it, and even grateful to cut it a little bit short today. So heels and toes together, arms overhead. Inhale, sit up, double exhale. Okay. Now, we did all this deep back bending, all that deep forward bending, and all the spine twisting. We finish it all out by lengthening the spine in one plane with the Peacock Mayurasana pose. So, preparation for Peacock. Let's bring our wrist to the ground, hands facing back, and we're going to start with just doing a little stretching here, right, for these wrists. So maybe you bring the whole body back to open up the front inside of your wrists. And then you can sit back on your heels. Bring the tops of your hands to the floor, fingers facing back. Maybe you feel some stretching on the top of your forearm here. And if you lean back, you might feel it just a little bit more. So if you lean back, the tops of the wrists start to open more. Good. Okay. Mayurasana. So in this posture, we are balancing on our flat palms. And, I like to teach this where the elbows come into the sort of just below the ribs, tops of the feet to the floor. And maybe today, this is where you're working on because you just need to build the strength in the wrists and the shoulders. That's totally cool. But if you want to go a little further, rather than any kind of like hopping, this is what people tend to want to do. All we're doing is sort of sliding the weight forward so the feet come off the floor. It's all about weight distribution. It's really not about excessive strength or power, right? It's really about finding that level of balance so that the weight can be distributed evenly and get that long, straight peacock. We have another version in Lotus. You can try the same one you just did. Or if you have an accessible Lotus, we would bring the legs into Lotus. Hands down flat, fingers facing behind us. Bend the elbows in. And again, shifting the weight forward, and the Lotus starts to float up. This one is actually a little bit easier for the balance, although it may look more challenging because of the sort of deep hip opening that's needed. Okay. Let's do one-legged peacock. Why not? So we're going to start by bringing the right leg up, bringing the right arm underneath the right leg, bringing the left arm over the right leg. And so now your hands are flat facing forward. And then you're going to bring the whole body weight forward to the floor, palms flat. And then from here, your right toes are hooking on the outside of your left arm, and then the left leg can stretch back for a one-legged peacock. This, in fact, is the easiest of all the peacocks. It may not seem so, but it indeed is. Beautiful. These are looking great. Okay, so we'll try the other side. Left arm underneath the left leg, right arm over the left leg, palms facing forward so that when you reach forward, they'll come flat to the floor. This left foot is hooking around the right top arm, and then shifting the weight forward, right leg comes up, extend it forward for one-legged peacock. And we change. Okay, so next time we'll do the one-arm peacock, but in the interest of time, we're going to move forward to our headstands and our handstands. So if you're not comfortable or familiar with headstand, I'm going to walk you through some preparations to get there. And if you have your headstand and it's accessible, you know it, go ahead and try it. So for those of you who are just beginning a headstand, I'm going to have you first come to the mat and hook your hands around the tops of your arms. And then release the hands, interlace the fingers, but leave the elbows in the same position where they were. From here, top of the head to the floor. So we're really going for top of the head, not the forehead, because you don't want to crunch neck. Top of the head to the floor. And then maybe today, for your headstand, if you're a beginner, we're just going to try to walk these feet up. Maybe the elbows bend. And the key here is to really think about pushing the floor away with your wrists and your forearms. So maybe one leg starts to come up. Maybe the other leg starts to come up. And then today, what if both legs came up and you stayed right here? Okay? So that's the progression for headstand. You don't have to go all the way through the whole posture. We work slowly, one leg up, the other leg up, maybe both legs up in a bent position, so that over time, you do eventually work on the headstand from a pike. And then, of course, in advanced class, we would bring this into a lotus. And then we would bring the lotus down to the floor and release it back up. Release the lotus and pike back down. So all of these are variations that you can do as you're working in your advanced postures. Okay, so we can try a quick, another set of your headstand, or moving on into tiger or tiger scorpion. So for this, we try to teach it so that you're all the way in your headstand, and then you move on to tiger by planting the hands and then lifting the head up. So we'll start here. And then I'm going to bring the palms flat to the floor. And then push the floor away. Head comes up, looking forward. If you have a little bend in your back, this is more of a tiger. If you have a straight spine, you're more in an Ashtanga Pincha Mayurasana. From tiger, the spine bends further, further, and then we eventually try to work into scorpion. Now, eventually scorpion is toes touching the top of the head or the whole foot. Not quite there today. We'll get there. It just takes time and takes practice. Excellent. So we'll finish off the series with a quick preparation for handstand. Now you think handstand, oh no. If you don't have handstand, don't worry about it. We're just going to do a couple of warm-ups. If you have a handstand, go for it. First, handstand is all about core, shoulders, and really mobility and stability. Okay? So we're going to work on a little exercise that gets us ready for our core. So come to sitting at the back of your mat. Okay? We're going to cross the legs. We're going to bring the hands flat down to the floor. And we're going to start to basically push the floor away and hop forward with the feet off the floor. It looks easy, but it's very challenging. Okay? So, yes. I see it. I know. It's like, why is he doing this? Okay? The reason is it forces you to use your core as you build the shoulder stability and the arm strength to lift the whole body off the floor. It's like gymnasts doing L-sit, right? So practice this at home every day for the next 90 days. Good. Okay, come to standing. So everyone can work on this one too. It's a very simple drill to move us toward a handstand, okay? So I'm going to bring my hands to the floor. And all I'm going to do is kind of work, shift the weight forward into my hands, and the feet will just float forward. Okay? So this just, the question we're asking is, what does it feel like to get some weight into my shoulders? That's all. What does it feel like? Yes, good. And then as you walk forward like that, maybe you'll catch a little bit of air. Maybe you'll get a couple of seconds where you hold it, right? So what that would look like is you're going forward and you're going to catch some air, hold it. Maybe you're going to tap your wrists. All of this is to say, what does it feel like to get pressure, weight into those shoulders? Okay. And then, when we have more time in the advanced class, we of course work on our handstands, which you would, kind of lean forward and then play around with your different handstands, okay? So today we have less time for that, but these are exercises you can do to work on your core, work on stabilizing your shoulders and feeling what does it feel like to get weight into those wrists, into those shoulders. Good. So we're going to finish off with Kapalabhati breathing. We're finishing just on time. Let's do one set of 100 at your own pace. I'll give you the pace and you can choose to go faster or slower. And we'll count by tens. Ready? Here's the pace. Keep going on your own. Keep going. So in this Kapalabhati, we're really releasing all this energy. There's a lot of energy at the end of class with the peacocks, the headstands, and the handstands. And this Kapalabhati helps us release it all. We normally do 3 sets of 100. For interest of time, we're just going to do 1 set of 100 today. And this helps us calm the nervous system down, helps us get back to center so that we can finish our class off and be relaxed and ready to go on to the day. So you can finish up your 100 breaths at your own pace. And at that time, you can turn around and lie in your Savasana. And so your final Savasana, of course, is on the mat, palms up, feet relaxed, feet open out, toes open out. And then we just sort of let this advanced class kind of absorb in. Did a lot of work today. 84 plus postures, new ways of opening the spine and the hips, ankles, shoulders. And you may be sore tomorrow. If you haven't taken this class in a long time, you may be sore. If you've never taken it, you may be sore. And so take a hot bath and really nourish yourself and what you need to reinvigorate and replenish after such a class. And if you were in the heat in particular, be sure to rehydrate. And hopefully this is the first of many of these classes on Zoom. And I just want to say thank you all for joining us today for this advanced class. And it's been such an honor to be able to do this on YouTube and Zoom. And like I said before, we're just so lucky. We're so grateful that we have this opportunity. And lots of people don't have studios to go to right now or are making the decision not to go. And that's what it is. And we have this chance, this gift to come here and to go online. Who ever thought a year ago we'd be online doing yoga with everybody else? It's amazing. And so I just again want to extend my gratitude to all of you and to all the people at Pure Yoga. And thank you for the class. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Done? Okay.